In order to understand the usage of Postman a lot better, let's assume a typical scenario in a software development company. It contains a developer team that consists of one or more employees, and currently they are using the tool Postman for the API development process. Of course, they are going to use this predominantly for testing the APIs. Recently, their team had one of the new joinee, namely James, who is completely new to the Postman the API process. One of his aim is to make sure to learn about the Postman tool, its purpose, how to use it for the API testing and the development process. Hence, his first task is to make sure to understand the Postman to use with respect to the APIs. Throughout this course, you're going to see how James is going to take the necessary steps to understand Postman and master the concepts that is being supported by this Postman tool. To begin with, in this section, getting started with Postman, let's look at some of the topics that is going to cover in this specific section. First, we'll look at what is Postman. We'll understand what is the purpose of Postman and why it is so famous among the API developers. This is followed by the various approaches of using Postman that involves using the desktop app as well as the web application. Once you have learned these two apps, we'll also look at what is the difference between these desktop and web application and which one you should use going forward with respect to API testing. Moreover, you'll also learn how to navigate the Postman UI a lot better. Once you are done with this, you will create your first request through the Postman to hit a specific URL and see the response in the Postman tool. Finally, you will also see some of the options that you can configure in the Postman to manage the account that you have created with the Postman applications. Let's get started with the first topic, namely what is Postman. The usage of API has been taking the world by the storm. You might have probably seen that you have been using the API across many products. Especially the APIs becomes very important when you are integrating with other third-party products. Even in many cases, within your company, you might be having many products wherein you are going to integrate with them. So for this, you might be again using the internal APIs. When you are working with such APIs, one part becomes very crucial. That is about the development of the API along with the testing the API. Postman is well known for API testing. Let's look at the official definition of Postman. Postman is the collaboration platform for API development. It is very important to note that although Postman has been synonymous with testing APIs, in the recent past they have added lots of features which makes it the ideal platform for API development. This means that along with API testing, you can also handle various other parts of the API development process as well. Postman now handles the full API development lifecycle. This includes designing, documenting, defining the API, testing the API, monitoring it, and so on. Hence, keep in mind that although you are going to use Postman predominantly as a testing tool, you can use it as a full-fledged API development lifecycle product. Let's look at some of the main use cases of Postman. First and foremost, it is being used to design and define APIs. You can use the Postman tool to design the API as per the specifications given for your specific requirement. Once you have designed it, you can also use the same tool to define those APIs. To define the APIs, you use various formats such as OpenAPI specifications and so on. Next, you can use Postman to collaborate on the API development. When you are in the design or the definition of the API stage, you want to collaborate with other team members. You no need to send across multiple emails with separate attachments. You can use Postman easily to collaborate on such API developments. And the most important use case is Postman is predominantly used for testing these APIs. So once you have the APIs that has been designed and defined, then you use again the same tool to test the APIs that has been exposed in various services. Of course, it has got multiple other features such as documenting the return APIs. Again, instead of using a different tool or different Word documents, you can use the same tool to document those APIs that has been defined and tested. Moreover, you can use it to mock the APIs that has been designed. For instance, this feature might be required when your product is in the initial stage and you want to use those APIs for the front-end development. In such cases, instead of for the front-end development team waiting for the back-end team to finish exposing the APIs, you can mock those APIs to return certain dummy responses. This way, the front-end team can use those APIs and proceed with their development. Mocking the API is one of the powerful features of the Postman. Finally, you can use the Postman to monitor the APIs that you have written. To monitor, it basically means once you have hosted these APIs on a regular scheduled basis, you can check the functional or how this API works after deploying it into a specific server. Having known about the main use cases of Postman, let's look at how famous or how popular is the Postman. Why you need to use the Postman as the testing or the API development tool. Postman is considered as the most popular API tool. Even myself, I have been using the Postman tool whenever I need to work with APIs across many integrations and many products in my development lifecycle. Whenever I want to work with APIs, Postman is my go-to tool. Also, whenever I want to test in any of my colleagues' machines or any of my clients' machine, the first step I always do is to try to install the Postman in that machine and then work on those APIs. Moreover, Postman is being used across 500,000 companies. That's pretty huge. This shows the popularity of this Postman tool across the companies when it comes to the APIs. Moreover, this includes 98% of Fortune 500 companies. That's pretty awesome. So almost all the top companies has been using Postman when it comes to the APIs. Hence, I strongly suggest you also to take a careful look about this Postman and try to incorporate it into your API development lifecycle. Next, let's look at how we can install Postman in your machine. Note that when it comes to usage of Postman, there are two different ways to use it. The first option is to use the desktop version, wherein you are going to download the corresponding desktop app as per your OS and then install in your machine. The second approach is to use the web version. This is the newer approach that is being followed by the Postman, wherein they support the web version as well. Note that the web version is work in progress and it may not have all the features supported by the desktop version. Next, we'll look at how to work with the desktop version as well as the web version. We take it one step at a time. Let's start with the first approach of using the desktop version. To use the desktop version, you go to the website postman.com/downloads. Here you can notice from the top, we have a link to download the app from the postman.com website. Since I am using currently the Windows OS, it's showing me to download the corresponding desktop app for the Windows OS. In case you are going to use the other OS like Mac OS, you can still use the same. Also in the case of Linux, you can use the corresponding versions. In the case of Windows and Linux, you can download 32-bit or 64-bit versions as per your machine specifications. Let's go ahead and download the app. Since my machine is Windows 64-bit, I'm going to use the 64-bit version. Once you save and then download, you can start the installation. It's pretty simple and a straightforward approach to install this. Once you trigger the installation of the setup, then it's going to take a couple of seconds once it gets installed in your machine. Once it is done, then it's going to launch the Postman tool in your machine. Let's go and launch this app. So here we have the Postman tool that has been installed in my Windows OS. Note that once it is being launched, then you may be seeing there is some updates available as per the date when you are installed. So let me skip this for now and let me close the other tabs. These tabs has been showing it because I have been working on this Postman installation before I am started recording. So once you install this is the typical screen that you should be seeing. In case there are any recent updates, then you are going to see the release notes. So here you have the desktop version of the Postman for the Windows OS. Before we proceed in going through the various UI components and start creating the testing the API approaches, let's look at how to use the web version of the Postman. To use the Postman web application version, you go to the new website and go to the specific address, namely go.postman.co. This is going to take you to the home page of the Postman web application. The first step you need to use is to sign in. In case you have not created any account with the Postman before, then you need to make a new account at this juncture. This is one of the main difference between the Postman web application and the Postman desktop application. Whereas you can use the desktop app without signing in and you can work locally, to use the web application, you need to create an account. In either case, I strongly recommend you to create an account so that all your data gets synced across your other devices through the Postman cloud. Moreover, to keep it simpler, I also recommend to sign in with Google. So this is going to capture the details that has been signed in as per your Google account. Here I'm going to key in my address. Okay, then it's going to prompt me the password. Once the sign up process is done, then it's going to load the home page of the Postman web API. Note that this is the home page of Postman wherein it's going to show you with the basic details. This is going to look very similar to the Postman desktop application. They have tried their best to make the UI look and feel to be exactly same like that of the desktop app. Hence, if you are going to use the desktop version or the web API version, most of the time you will not find much difference with respect to the usage. One of the main limitations when you are working with the Postman web API version, at least as of this moment, is that you may come across the issues due to CORS, basically the cross-object resource sharing, which means that the browser, if you need to raise any request to some of the services that is running in your local machine, then it should have some additional requests or additional permissions. For this, Postman is going to install a desktop agent that is going to be running in your machine. If you are going to use any public APIs that is not running in your local machine, then it should be good to go. So this is one of the main points that you need to keep in mind when you are working with the Postman web application. Once you have known about the Postman desktop application and the web application, you might be wondering which one to use. I am assuming that you are going to use the Postman for the first time, or you may have heard about it and you are still wondering whether to use the desktop or the web application going forward. Let's look at some of the pros and cons of each of these applications and let's decide which one is better for your approach. First of all, it all depends upon which API you are going to test or work with. Note that the APIs generally can be classified into three types: public, private, and partner APIs. Public API refers to those APIs that are available over internet, whereas the private APIs are fully customized and available only within your network. It may be only for your product. The intermediary, namely the partner APIs, are those APIs that is being exposed by the partners whose APIs might be hosted in their premise. So now when you are working with APIs, you need to first check which API you are currently going to work on. If your API is going to be on public API, then Postman desktop or the web application, either is okay, because the API is being hosted by a public internet. Hence, you won't face any issues even if you are going to use the web application. When it comes to the partner APIs, still the desktop and web both are still okay. The reason again being assuming the partner APIs, if it is going to get hosted in the public network, then Postman web is okay. Whereas if the partner API is within a local network, such as in your site or customer premises, then Postman desktop version is the best option in this case. Finally, when it comes to the private APIs, most of the time the APIs is going to be hosted only within your local network. In such cases, the best option is to go with the Postman desktop application. As you have seen, the Postman, the desktop application, is the most common one that can be used across any of the scenarios. It doesn't matter where the API sits. It can be only within your local network or it can be spread across the internet. You can still use it. Whereas when it comes to the Postman web app, it is always best to use it when it is freely available or accessible through the public internet. If it is going to be available only for the local network, then you may face some challenges accessing your services. Having known these points, I strongly recommend you to use the desktop app for seamless operations. Personally, I always try to use the desktop app because it's going to give me the full capabilities of the Postman without any limitations or restrictions. Whenever I am going to work with APIs either in my local machine or my colleagues or even at my customer premises, the first thing I do is to just install the desktop app as the first step. Moreover, there are some points that you need to keep in mind when you are working with the Postman. First is that Postman had the Chrome app some time back, but now it's been deprecated. Hence, if you are using the Chrome app before, then it's the right time to switch to the Postman desktop or the web application. Secondly, Postman releases a new update every 2 weeks. This means that you are going to get new features as well as the Postman UI may look a bit different every time you access it. This brings to the main point wherein you need to focus on the Postman concepts rather than relying on the UI or the navigation and so on. Since Postman keeps adding multiple features at a very frequent rate, you may notice that the UI changes a lot. Also, the navigation or the workflow also might be changing a bit. But if you focus on the core concepts of the Postman, like designing the APIs, testing the APIs, how to send the request and so on, then you should be comfortable with using the Postman in the long run. Next, let's look at how you can navigate Postman. This is very crucial to understand in the initial stage. The reason being, although Postman looks a simple tool, their UI navigation is a bit tricky for the newcomers. They have got loads of features and they have stuffed it at various places. You may feel overwhelmed at the initial stage. Hence, spend some time to understand how each of these options has been grouped together in Postman. As I mentioned before, I'm going to use the Postman desktop application throughout this course. Postman desktop app is my favorite part among the two versions. Once you have installed the desktop app, the first step I strongly recommend you to is to sign in to the application. I recommend you to sign in so that all your data gets synced across your devices through the single Postman account. Here you can notice that once I have done a sign in, it has prompted me a second dialog to sign in with my account. Since I have been using the Google, so I'm going to sign in. As you can notice, once I click on the sign in, then it's going to open up a browser for me to sign in to the corresponding account. Since I have used the Gmail account to sign up in the initial stage, I'm going to use the same. Once you do this, then the application is going to get launched with that respective credentials. Okay, so here we have the Postman that is going to sign up with the account that I have used before. So once it is done, you can see the initial stage of initial screen that is going to show you all the options that is available within the Postman. Let me dismiss this for now. And this is showing the home page of the Postman. Now let's look at the different sections of the Postman desktop application. At the top, you have the header section. Here it is synonymous to menus. We have the home and the workspaces, reports and the explore sections. In the left side, you have the left sidebar. So this comes into the picture when you try to select a work group. The workspace is very similar to grouping the related request or API elements together. We will be covering about the workspaces in a lot more detail in the later sections. So now here you see this is considered as the left sidebar. And then we have the central area where you are going to do most of your actions in this space. When you are going to create a new request, new collections, everything is going to happen in the central area. Next, we have the status bar that is going to contain some of the minor points like find and replace, collapse, console, and the different settings over here. Finally, we have the right side panel that is going to show the various details as per your selection. For example, currently I have selected collections, then it's going to show me the relevant details related to collections. These are the 5 main parts of the Postman UI. Moreover, you have got a big search bar at the top central location. This is known as the universal search in the terms of Postman. As the name tells, the whatever you are going to search over here is going to be searched across your workspaces as well as the public workspaces. For example, if I am going to search as say Twitter, then it's going to search across all my workspaces as well as those APIs or those profiles that is being added in the Postman's website. Once you have known these basics of navigating the Postman, let's look in the next clip how you can send your first request using the Postman app. Next, let's see how you can send a new request in your Postman app. An API request allows you to retrieve the data from a data source or to send data. I am hoping predominantly you are going to use the Postman to send a request to either validate some of the response or you are going to get some of the data from some of the web applications. Let's see how we can use the Postman to send a simple GET request to begin with. To create a new request, you press on the plus symbol. So by default, it is going to create a new tab and it's going to select the verb as the GET. Note that it shows all the supported verb that is used by the Postman. This includes the most famous ones like get, post, put, patch and delete. To begin with, I am going to use the get. Next, we have the region where you are going to enter the request URL. For this example, let's use the Postman's inbuilt API called postmanecho.com/get. This is the website that is supported by Postman that you can use to validate the working of the Postman and to see the initial set of requests. We are going to create our own set of APIs shortly. For this lesson, let's take the Postman Echo example. So once you have entered the second step of giving the URL, the third step is to enter the parameters or any of the request bodies. Since for our current GET request, we do not have any additional details to be passed, so we do not need to set any of those other details. Next, you just go and hit the send button. This is going to send the request to the Postman server that is being referred at postman-echo.com. Within that, it's going to hit at this specific URL called get endpoint. Once it has executed, it's going to execute and return the set of details. Note that we have received the response for this GET request with a set of property values that is denoted by args and headers values. This is just a sample value that is being returned by the Postman. Note that this is in the JSON format. Although it supports various formats like JSON, XML, HTML, text and many other formats, the most popular format when it comes to API is JSON. Hence, it's going to return the data in the JSON format. Once you have known how to send a simple request, in the next clip, let's look at how to manage the Postman account that you have been using here. Next, before we proceed to send the other different types of requests in Postman, let's quickly look at how you can manage the account that has been using with your Postman. The first important point that you need to remember is that the Postman syncs the data to its own cloud, namely Postman Cloud. Hence, any request that you are going to create or any set of parameters that is being configured in the Postman app is going to get synced to the Postman Cloud. In case you do not wish to send these data to the Postman Cloud, then you need to use without signing in. Next, you can use either the Postman desktop or the web application. We have seen in some of the previous lessons what is the main difference between these two different versions and the most recommended one. Moreover, Postman allows up to 3 parallel usage for a single account. Hence, once you have an account, then you can feel free to use it at your home as well as in your work machine as well as in any of the site machine if you prefer to. You can use up to 3 times for the same account. As I mentioned before, Postman is going to sync all the data to the Postman Cloud. In case you wish to work offline, then you should not do the syncing part. For this, you need to sign out of the Postman desktop or the web application. Once you do this, then you will be working with a local copy of the data that is residing only within your local machine. Moreover, the Postman supports more than one account to be signed in at the same time. This means that when you have installed the Postman desktop application, you can sign in with more than one account. You can seamlessly switch between these accounts when you are working with the different set of APIs. Finally, in case you wish to delete the Postman account, you can do so through the profile settings that is available under the Postman. You should be very careful with this approach. The reason being, once you delete your Postman account, then all the API elements that you have created so far in the Postman is going to get deleted. Hence, think carefully before you delete the Postman account. Let's summarize the key points you have learned in this section, getting started with Postman. First, you learned that Postman is the collaboration platform for API development. Although Postman is predominantly used for testing APIs, in the recent past they have added lots of features that makes it an ideal platform for API development. Moreover, you understood that there are two ways to use the Postman. The first is through the Postman desktop application, and the second approach is to use the Postman web app. Depending on your specific use case, you can choose either approach. Among these two, I strongly recommend you to use Postman desktop application for seamless operation. Once you use this, then you are not going to face any issues that is going to get arised because of the authorization issues. Some of the main use cases of Postman with respect to the API development involves design and defining the APIs, collaborating on the API development process, testing the APIs, documenting the APIs that has been defined before, mocking the API capabilities so that you can go ahead with developing the front-end part, and finally to monitor the APIs that has been developed in your specific projects. Regarding the navigation, it is broadly classified into 5 different sections. At the top, you had the header section. At the left side, we have the left side sidebar that is going to contain all the key API elements of Postman. The central part is referred to as the central area where you are going to work on these API elements. On the right side, you have got the right side panel that is going to change as per the option that you have chosen in the left sidebar. Finally, in the status bar, it's going to contain some of the options like find and replace, console, and other miscellaneous settings. You then learned about sending the API request through the Postman. An API request allows you to retrieve the data from a data source or to send the data to it. When it comes to sending a request through a Postman, it's going to be pretty simple. Once you create a new request, the first step is to choose the verb. In this example, we have chosen the GET. The second step is to enter the URL for the specific API endpoint. Once you have done that, the third step is to just hit the send button to send the request to the specific API server. The server is going to return the response that is getting displayed at the body section in the bottom part. Moreover, you looked at some of the common operations that you can do with managing the Postman account. You learned that you sync the data to the Postman cloud when you are working with the Postman for developing the APIs. You can use either the desktop application or the web application of the Postman. Postman allows you to use 3 parallel usages for the same account at the same time. In case you want to avoid syncing to the Postman cloud, then you need to work offline. Moreover, Postman supports more than one account when you are working with the Postman desktop application or the web application. Finally, if you wish, you can delete the Postman account from your profile. Hello, I am Praveen. I hope you are liking this video so far. This video is part of the Postman tutorial Getting Started with API Testing course. This course covers various topics related to Postman like sending HTTP request, advanced topics with respect to the request, Postman collections, environments, Postman workspaces, and various other useful Postman features. To continue your learning, I strongly recommend you to enroll in this course so that you can go through each of these various sections to mastering the Postman concepts. Moreover, I have included a link at the bottom of this description that includes a coupon code that gives you up to 90% discount. Get started by clicking on the link to enroll in this course to master the Postman's concepts. I hope to see you in the course inside. Thank you.